I met Nick, we entered into a relationship, and he said to me on our first date, he said that his dream was to open a microbrewery. And I thought, well, yeah, that sounds like a bit of me.
Hello and welcome to the Beer Rep Chats with, and I'm delighted today to be joined by Elizabeth, co-founder of Kerroo. Elizabeth, thanks for joining the show.
It's great to be here, Martin, from the not so sunny Isle of Man today, unfortunately.
It's not so sunny here in London either.
No, back to storms again. We had one day of reprise yesterday. We flew back from Liverpool and it was the most textbook beautiful flight ever. But yeah, back to wind and rain, unfortunately.
Yeah, we got that for foreseeable future, I think, until spring finally arrives. I can't wait for spring to arrive. We need a bit of heat and sun into the room.
We do.
Yeah. So, quick. First off, we're going to start off with, I read that Kerroo literally began around your kitchen table. What was the moment where you and Nick thought, let's start a brewery?
So it goes back to about 5 years ago now. We met tail end of the pandemic. It was kind of March 2021 time. I'd just moved back from London. I was working at Decca Records as a publicist. So I was very much involved in the music industry at that time. Unfortunately, because of COVID and everything that happened, my job went from being 100% being around people, being out and about in town, traveling all over the world to, America, Los Angeles, all of these exciting things, unfortunately went completely online. So it was a lot of this kind of thing, lots of Zoom calls, lots of seeing inside celebrities' houses, which was a bit unnerving. You got to pull back the curtain a bit and see what, A-listers were sort of doing during the pandemic. And it was, it was quite revealing. But I came back to the Isle of Man. At the time, the Isle of Man was in full quarantine. So I had to spend 2 weeks living in complete isolation in a holiday cottage, which was pretty unnerving, really, at the time. No visitors at all. Like my parents could kind of wave to me from the other side of the big garden of this property that I was staying at. But then I was kind of wondering at time before we kind of reconnected, because Nick and I were at school together. He was 2 years above me. Before we reconnected, I was sort of thinking, is my job ever going to be the same again? And I think all of those things that I really enjoyed about working in public relations, which was basically all the face-to-face stuff, the chaperoning people around, going to the BBC, going to all these different interesting media places, and being really directly involved in creating things with other musicians, that never looked like it was ever going to come back again. So I made the decision to kind of explore other opportunities, I guess. And that coincided with the time that I met Nick. We entered into a relationship, and he said to me on our first date, we were sat 1 meter apart on a park bench because it was still social distancing back then. He said that his dream was to open a microbrewery. And I thought, well, yeah, that sounds like a bit of me. I've got the skills to facilitate that. If he can make the beer, I can, I guess, create an event space, a venue, a taproom, and create somewhere that people can come together. And I guess it was the thing that everyone was missing at that time was being around other people. And I was really deeply feeling that lack of third places to kind of go and have a nice pint and see other people. And I think the acuteness of that feeling at the time, plus the fact that Nick was an absolutely cracking home brewer. I mean, he made some really fantastic beers of all different styles. That's the point at which I thought, we could give this a good go, I think.
Yeah, we could do this.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. That's brilliant. I mean, I got a little bit of music background myself, and I thought during COVID, it helped me produce a lot more music. Obviously, couldn't go nowhere, so I just spent most of my days just making music all day long.
Yeah.
I couldn't see anyone, of course.
It was a creative time, wasn't it? But it was,
yes.
not normal.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
definitely
want to
not
go back
normal.
to that.
But there was some absolutely cracking tunes coming out, especially on the electronic side, which is where my background is from.
Nice.
Yeah, that's amazing how, you said that obviously Nick's the brewery, he does a lot of home brewing, and you're drinking beer for free, but obviously coming out of COVID, you really want to set up that social side of things. And that kind of draws you in to focus on, we're going to do this because we want this. We need this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Isle of Man at the time was not very well set up for craft beer. There was a fella running a bottle shop, which was very successful. And there was also a few people sort of dabbling in kind of hazy beers, but there wasn't really anything. I mean, I'd come from central London, so I was, awash with all these incredible breweries. We were drinking beers by like the Colonel, was one of my favorites. And like, I was just surrounded by it to the point where I didn't really think about it. Like, I've always been a beer drinker, but I took it for granted in a lot of ways until I got back to the Isle of Man and realized that the only thing you could really get at the time was the traditional cask ale, lots of bitter, lots of brown ales, lots of dark ales, just things that I wasn't really seeking out. And I thought that, between us, we had the skills to bring that to the local market.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you take it for granted, don't you, living in a big city like London, where craft beer is accessible just down the road pretty much, wherever you're living. I always realise when I go away abroad and really struggle to get a decent beer, it's always like a standard lager, and you never really get much craft beer or, them sort of styles of beer, like hazies and stuff like that. So yeah, you really do miss it when you come back home, and it's like,
you do.
First thing you do is go down to the pub and have a decent beer.
It's the best place.
Obviously, when you decided that you was going to start a brewery, what was the moment that kind of dawned on you that you thought this is a mad leap into the unknown, or did it come quite naturally and easy for you?
I'm not the sort of person who's put off by a challenge. So I kind of went into this perhaps a bit naively, and I kind of thought it can't be that hard. And it was that hard. I mean, it's just been 5 years of just graft. I mean, Nick's a qualified accountant. He's done his accountancy qualifications. I've worked in the music industry. I've got like a teaching qualification. I have never in my life worked as hard as I have over the last sort of 3 or 4 years. The amount of paperwork you have to go through, the amount of, especially on the Isle of Man, like you have to have like local fire sign off. I mean, you have this everywhere, but it's a case of there's all these people you need to ask to set up a licensed premises, but nobody seems to quite know the order in which to do it. So you've got to go to courts to get your license, but you've got to go to police before you go to fire. You've got to go to fire before you go to the courts. You've got to have building control sign off if you're doing anything to your premises. You've got to have like drainage people in. There was just so much administration that was involved even before our first day of trading, which was almost 2 years ago. So it was. If I'd known how much hard work it would be, I don't think that would put me off. Coupled with the amount of money it would cost, I'd still probably do it. But I'm glad that I didn't know how much work and how much money it was going to involve, because neither of us were prepared for that at all. Yeah,
it's a lot of learning when you start. I mean, even just starting up your own business, like when you're registering the company, and then you get bombarded with a load of letters through the door. Oh, congratulations on setting up your first business.
Yeah.
All that rubbish. Yeah. So how much of, you say you're brewing in the Isle of Man, you saw a gap in the market, I take it, and decided that this was a perfect opportunity to set up an independent brewery over there.
Yeah, for sure. So we have two very long-standing traditional, I guess, family breweries now. Oakles, who've been going for 175 years, and Bushies, who've just turned 40. So they were the kind of the big boys who've been around for a very long time. They're very well established. They know what they're doing. Their operations are very slick. But neither of them had, at that point when we were setting up, moved into the kind of, I guess, the craft space. They've started to now, but I think Nick and I saw this opportunity really to create the beers that we were drinking when we went to Manchester. So one of our first trips away when we were allowed to travel again was to track in Manchester. We spent all day going through their big menu board, drinking everything and just going, I wish you could get this sort of beer on the Isle of Man. And obviously that was sort of, those sorts of breweries were sort of in there, still quite young, I guess. They were sort of turning sort of like 5, 6, 7. But they were at the point where they were very well received. They knew what they were doing. And we were kind of going, we want to create these kinds of beers and try them in the Isle of Man market. And it was just the point where we could take the new hops that people were using. We went to BeerX for the first time, I think in 2024. And we had a really nice time getting lots of samples and learning from all the suppliers about the different ingredients that we could use. It was all very hypothetical, I think, up until that point. But when we were actually able to go out and taste all these beers that we were enjoying, the idea of being able to bring that back to the Isle of Man and have people enjoy it as much as we did was like really exciting at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet that'd be amazing. Just seeing how much, all the beers that you're brewing is being received by the locals and how much they're enjoying it. I mean, that's why you've done it. As all that hard work and graft that you did before, it's all worth it in the end, isn't it? When you get them smiles at the end of the day and people saying how great your beer is. I know brewing myself, but I've done a bit of brewing and it's so nice to hear comments back to say it's really good, really nice beer, really enjoying it.
It's a bit of a double-edged sword because we set up the Taproom as well at the same time. So weirdly, the Taproom was ready to go before the brewery because we needed cash flow. So we've done all of this, probably not wise to do this. We've done all this with our own money. So it was kind of, we're both sort of mid-30s now. We were working. Nick had a good job. I had a fairly decent job a couple of years ago. So we did this all with our own money. And we have had no bank loans. We've had a couple of local government grants to buy equipment, which has been great. But we have to spend all of that money up front first. So we started the Taproom March 2024. We pretty much just imported. We didn't have any of our own beers at that point because we needed to do stuff to the building, which was an old local authority depot. So it's kind of an old bin lorry garage. It's effectively what it is. It's just an old kind of commercial garage used by the local council. So it needed a fair bit of work doing to it, including putting a floor drain in. So we had to open the tap room, start selling other people's beer in order to raise that kind of capital to get the works done to start brewing, basically. So that
most
took
expensive,
probably
isn't
6
it,
months. Yeah, for sure. So there were lots of things that we needed to do, but we didn't have the money for it at the time. So we thought we get our liquor license, we'll get open for the spring and summer. And it was really useful because we got to have that face-to-face contact. We staffed it ourselves and have done for the last 2 years. Having that contact with the customers who we didn't know who was going to come. So we're down in a village down in the south of the island. It's beautiful in the summer, incredible beach. It looks like somewhere in Cornwall or Ireland or something. It's just absolutely gorgeous, Port Erin. But we didn't know who was coming. There were lots of people who came just to check it out and came to just tell us that we were idiots and we shouldn't be doing this and we weren't welcome.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was tough. They came and went very quickly, and very soon after we started building our local community, who have been just incredible. Like, they have supported us for the last 2 years. They come in every single weekend when we're open. They buy our beer. They're friendly. We've got to know their children. Like, it's just been fantastic. And we can try out our beers on them. So we can put them straight on the bar at the tap room, get that instant feedback. And if somebody's like, yeah, I really like that, I wish it was not quite as strong. So one of our core beers was an oatmeal porter, which was one of Nick's original homebrew recipes that we've now scaled up and developed. Somebody came in and said, my mate has a pub, but I don't think you're going to be able to sell it at that strength on cask. So that was really helpful because that ultimately affects our production in a positive way, which means that we didn't necessarily know that before, but now that now that we've reduced it to sort of 4.8%, we can sell that in cask and keg, and it kind of, it ticks both boxes then.
Yeah. What was the original ABV?
I think it was about 5.6, 5.7.
Okay, it kind of chop it down.
Yeah. So we dropped it down a little bit. I think now we've just sent 2 firkins off to the Liverpool Craft Beer Festival. Unfortunately, we can't be there because we're brewing this week, but we've got a 5% porter and a 5.6% American IPA. So those are both on kind of, I guess, the stronger side. But we're very proud of those two, and I think they taste really great. I think they're really well balanced, and I'm hoping they'll go down really well with their audience there.
Balance is key, isn't it? I feel for any sort of style, you got to have that balance, and automatically the beer becomes drinkable when there's balance in it. I believe it's an easy drinking beer when it's nicely balanced. So, moving on to how the brewery is shaped by logistics and stuff like that. I mean, how much of your brewing decisions go on logistics, ingredients, and equipment and stuff like that?
So at the minute, we are at the point where we're about to send our first pallet off wholesale to mainland England, which is very exciting. That's going on Friday.
Amazing. Congratulations.
It is. Thank you. It's taken a lot of work.
I knew that you were struggling to find a distributor to take your stuff out there a while ago. So, congratulations. Well done.
I think it's more just because this is not I've never done this before. So it is straightforward. You kind of say, here is our product range, here is the price, here's what we're doing, here's the collaborations we're doing at the minute. And, people it's fairly straightforward. I think it's just, having the time to dedicate to building that, I'm calling it export, but I guess it's like imports and technically because it's going into the UK market. It's taken us a little while. I think working out the prices of ingredients and things like that, that's always going to be tough. So the ferry company is owned by the Isle of Man government and a private, so it's like semi-private investors, semi-government owned, but all of it is about shareholder value and maxing out how much money they can make for their shareholders. Some of which are obviously the people who pay the taxes on the Isle of Man, like us. And we're the ones who, I guess, if we have a small business or if we're using it as a ferry passenger, it's £400 to take your car on a 2.5-hour journey every time. And, freight is the most expensive freight per mile in the whole, on the planet. It's the most expensive freight for the distance. We can get things shipped from China for pretty much, the same cost as sending a couple of pallets over. So we obviously have to think about that when we're sending things back and forth. We get all of our malt from Crisp. We get our hops from Charles Fareham and Locker and a couple of the other merchants that everyone uses. They're very fair with their pricing, but it is obviously something we don't expect the UK businesses to absorb completely because it is extremely expensive. So what we tend to do is if it's an outsized thing or a pallet, we get it sent to a hub in Skelmersdale, places near Warrington, and then they forward it on. This means that we're either making less money than everybody else or we have to price ourselves slightly higher. And as a new brewery, that's obviously a very fine line to tread. So I think at the minute we're going in at a price that I'm fairly happy with, but whether it actually works long term, it might be a case of a volume thing. It might mean that we just have to really focus on export, which will mean that might end up being like my full-time job, and I have to step away from kind of taproom management stuff and pass that over to someone else, which is a good thing. I'm prepared to do that. But yeah, it's a constant battle trying to figure out how we can make sure that our products are fairly priced in a way that doesn't do us out of, the hard work that we've put in. But also that we're not ripping anyone else off, because at the end of the day, like, it's not someone else's fault that we pay so much for shipping.
Yeah, so you're having to pay literally the same fees as you said, like from getting something from China, and it's literally X amount of miles away from UK mainland.
You can see it on a clear day. You can literally see where the boat goes in.
I suppose it's the same issues as Ireland, with when they're exporting stuff. Yeah. What's been the biggest surprise about, we touched about the local drinkers coming out to support you when you first opened up your tap room. What's been the biggest surprise about the local drinker behaviour?
How readily people have embraced hazy beer has been phenomenal. Our best seller is called Hey Boy, which is a hazy at 4.5% sort of session strength, like pale ale. It's nicely hazy. It's nothing too anything. It's just really drinkable. Low bitterness. It's got a dry hop of mosaic in it. It's a really delicious beer all year round. That is our biggest seller in the Manx market, and including our taproom as well. By I think it's like the times 10. Like it's just the biggest seller by a huge margin. And the way that people have really got on board with that beer has been incredible, because I was really worried about the hazy beers. I think we had a few people who came in to the taproom initially who were like, "You're gonna have to sort that haziness out. Nobody's gonna buy that. You have to stick some findings in that." And we said, "No, we are gonna make hazy beers. I'm sorry, all the beers are vegan. We're not gonna be talked out of that by anybody who's just used to a certain type of beer." Definitely the way that people just they expect hazy now, I think, and a few of the other breweries have started doing the same.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of breweries out there that kind of stuck to their guns and still producing the same beer that they did X amount of years ago, not embracing the new styles of beer that are the more modern styles, should I say. And yeah, it's good that you stuck to your guns. And I can only imagine the sort of people that were saying, "Get rid of that haze, make it clearer." I can picture them right now.
They've kind of come around to it though. Yeah, I think one of the first people who kind of came in and said that, he's come back a few more times now and he absolutely loves it. And I see him like kind of quietly sat there enjoying his half a hazy pint. So I think, having that, just kind of going, no, this is how it's supposed to be. And I guess it's not educating people, but it's realigning their expectations with the modern beer market. And I think it helped as well that when we first set up, we obviously weren't producing our own beer at that time. We were getting in a lot of beer from places in the UK. It wasn't eye-wateringly expensive. I think our kind of, we swallowed a lot of that cost at that time just to try and get the beer out there. But we had some really incredible beers from places like Closet up in Edinburgh, Duration, loads of really nice things from all over the place. And having that opportunity to like speak to people and explain why things are hazy, explain why things taste the way they do, like that's been really valuable. And that's now evolved into brewery tours. We're going to do some like tastings as well this summer. And just, doing it in a way that's informing people and also getting them to challenge themselves and challenge their taste when they go out. And when they have more choice, they will seek these things out. There's a fantastic independent bar in Douglas, which is the main city now, it used to be a town, called Grain and Vine. And they were the first to take our beer. And they have something like 20 draft taps or something, and you can go in there and they do a lot of one and done. So you can go in and they had Deya's Steady Rolling Strata on keg, and I was so sad that I missed it because I just didn't see it. It sold out so quickly.
It does.
That I didn't see they had it. I was devastated, but they've as well gone, no, this is what we're doing. We're not going to have the same usual stuff that's on everywhere else. And the more people that do that and the more choice the customers have on the Isle of Man, the better it is for all of us who are trying to do something a bit different. And we owe a huge debt to all of those people who came in the industry before us and put in that work. Because it's very easy. I've kind of thought like we've had quite an easy time of it, really. I think maybe not on a local level, because we've done an awful lot of the we've worked very hard to try and get different beer styles to the Manx market over the last couple of years. There were people who obviously did that as well, in different ways. But when we go to the UK, understanding from other breweries, like the decades of work in some cases that they've put in to build their businesses to where they are now, it's remarkable to see people who are still going strong after sort of 10 plus years.
Yeah, definitely is. Yeah. A lot of breweries hit 10 this year, I think. Quite a few.
They did, yeah.
The big names. Yeah, it was like,
I don't know what was happening in 2015.
I know. It was like a brewery boom, not a baby boom, but a brewery boom. Everyone was opening up a brewery 10 years ago.
Yeah.
we're gonna touch on the name of the brewery, Kerroo, and why you came up with the name and what does it mean.
Yeah, so Kerroo means quarter in Manx Gaelic. We wanted something that kind of linked back to our Manx roots, like both myself and Nick are from the Isle of Man. We wanted a word that was easy to say, easy to spell, and also something that didn't already exist, so that our Google rankings and search engine optimization was decent.
Gotta get good on them Google rankings.
Yeah, for sure. But fundamentally, like Kerroo, it's all about working as part of a bigger team. I mean, we are very upfront about the fact that we've had a lot of input from other people. We haven't had, we don't have like parent money or anything like that. We haven't had like gifts of thousands of pounds to help set up our special project or anything like that. But we have had a lot of support from our parents, emotional support. Both my parents, Nick's parents, you know, they've been there and they've sort of seen, this was even before we launched. So when we were kind of trying to figure out the name and what we were doing, we wanted something that everybody on the Isle of Man could be proud of and feel that they could be a part of as well. We wanted the Taproom to be inclusive. We didn't want anyone to feel excluded in any way, especially because I've always drank beer, but I'm very conscious of the fact that some female identifying people might not necessarily feel welcome in a craft beer environment. I don't know if that's the case everywhere, but I wanted it to be a place where you could bring your dogs, bring your kids. So when we created Taproom, we wanted to make sure it was the ethos of Kerroo. It was the ethos of collaboration, community, and togetherness that we wanted to create. And I think the name just fit really well, and very proud of it.
Did it? How long did it take you to come up with your name? I mean, how many drafts were there? Come on, we want to hear some names that you came up with before Kerroo.
So this is so embarrassing. So we were going to call it Rogue, and then for some reason we didn't know that there was Rogue Ales in the US. And I think we spoke to we registered the name and everything. Like we got the website. Oh, this shows how naive we were, honestly. We were like, oh yeah, Rogue's a great name because we're like rebels and like, you know, so embarrassing. But yeah, we got to the point where we were about to register it. I think we mentioned it to somebody at the Liverpool Craft Beer Expo and they were like, yeah, you obviously can't call it that. And we were like, why? And they were like, because there's a Rogue Ales already. Like, what's wrong with you? So yeah, Rogue didn't work, obviously. And then that was the point at which we were like, well, it has to be something that doesn't exist at all. You know, it has to be a word that is so distinctive and so specific to us. And I think, yeah, we wanted something that was like vaguely, it also like Kerroo also kind of has links to like maritime-y type things. Like the Isle of Man's a very seafaring sort of place. We've got lots of history when it comes to smuggling and pirates and things like that. So yeah, we wanted it to do that
with some of your exporting, a bit of smuggling.
Yeah, exactly. Just put it on a fishing boat and just send it off, and then we don't have to pay for it. I have considered that actually. And very low points. But yeah, so we had lots of chats about what we're going to call it, but yeah, Kerroo seemed like the one, I think.
Yeah, I prefer Kerroo to Rogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely more inclusive as well than Rogue.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I was very clear on no black and white, no skulls, no pirate-y kind of things when we came to doing the design work. We wanted to create a brand that was very bright and colourful, like our Ben and Jamie, who pulled together our initial like brand guidelines. They came up with loads of amazing colours. We wanted it to be like super fun, super inclusive, and not something that anyone would look at and go, yeah, that doesn't really feel like me. And I think it works pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. You want to put, you know, yours and Nick's kind of personality behind it as well, and for everyone to see, you know, that your personality going into the whole brand. I think that's sure. That's key to any sort of business, that you put your own personality into it. Yeah. So what does success look like for Kerroo in the future? Is it to do with, you know, production, bigger production, or nailing down them export prices and trying to get that right?
Certainly for this year, 2026, it's going to be about growing the brand in mainland UK. There's lots of opportunity for us, I think, to get the beer out into the wider kind of independent beer market. It's something that I'm definitely going to be focusing on. We're really lucky that we've had some really nice people come forward to run the Taproom. We were talking to Vic and Mike at Cold Beer about this the other day, because I think they both have plans to get a Taproom as well somewhere in Liverpool. And I was sort of saying to them, it's really important that they don't fall into we'll have to run it. You have to get your staff in, you have to get people in who are really passionate about working for you. I know that sounds ridiculous, but people who actually want to be like ambassadors for your business. And I think if you spend a couple of years building the business you would like to work for, then hopefully other people will as well. So I'm really pleased to be able to get some staff in who are going to be, hopefully will, do a fantastic job of running the Taproom so that Nick and myself can focus on beer production, export, recipe development, just all those things that we've kind of been looking forward to doing, because we've been doing an awful lot of the day-to-day
grafting.
And there's still plenty of that to go. But it's looking really positive at the minute to grow Kerroo, get the beer to different people in the UK. Because I think we had a chat a couple of months ago about how I was really keen to, before we spoke, make sure that we're at the point where the beer was available for people to get in the UK. Because ultimately, if people watching this can't get the beer, what's the point?
Exactly.
So I'm really pleased that we're now at that point in February, which is great.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah. So talking of collaborations, and you've recently done one with Cold Beer, which is why you was in Liverpool. How did that go? And what beer did you make? What style of beer did you brew?
We had the best day. So Vic and Mike, who run Cold Beer, we were in the running with them to get the SEBA Business Award for UK's Best New Brewery last year. And fair play to them both.
I was rooting for Cold Beer.
Honestly, so was I. Like, they're just amazing. Like, their setup there is fantastic. They're both just lovely people. So we were really keen, after we've seen them a couple of times over the last couple of months, to do a collaboration. And it's kind of dragged us out of winter. We flew over to Liverpool on Sunday night, brewed on Monday, and it's going to be ready in a couple of weeks' time. It's going to be a no coast or a mountain IPA, which I believe is a mix between East and West Coast styles. Really fruity, a little bit bitter. It's going to be absolutely just beautiful. And we had such a nice day with them.
Yeah. Is that going to be available at BeerX as well?
I'm not sure. You'll have to check with them. I think hopefully mid-March. So we both turn 2 next month in March. So it's one of the collaborations. Our birthday is the 8th. I'm not quite sure when Cold Beer are 2, but I think it's maybe later in the month.
Yeah, awesome. Obviously, I'll be in Liverpool in mid-March, so I'm sure your beer will be available somewhere in Liverpool at that time.
The day that we can walk into a pub in Liverpool and see Kerroo on a beer pump. That's going to be a good day.
The beer scene over there is just fantastic. So apart from the collaboration you did with Cold Beer, are there any new beer styles or future projects that you're excited to explore?
So in terms of other collaborations, we're doing one with Track in March, which I'm absolutely thrilled about.
Dream come true.
I know. So we're brewing on Tuesday. It's Tuesday the 3rd of March. It's an International Women's Day workshop day. So I went to one of these, I think 3 years ago, and just had the most incredible day. Like, the people I met that day, I'm still, good friends with. They've been incredibly supportive of us in our journey, because at that point I didn't have a brewery at all. Like, it was still in the administration kind of, that kind of time. So Amy, she looks after all the artwork and all the graphics for Track's beers, which look absolutely incredible. I saw her at the Women in Beer Awards a couple of months ago, and she said, "Oh, it'd be great to have you guys up for a collaboration." And I kind of went away and was like, "What? Me and Nick? Really?" So it's going to be amazing. There's still some tickets available for that if anyone wants to come. It's on Tuesday the 3rd of March. We're going to be there. We're going to be doing some art stuff. We're going to be drinking lots of incredible beer. Very, very excited for that one. And we're also at the Liverpool Craft Beer Expo in June, which is another incredible opportunity that we never thought at year sort of 2 we'd be doing that kind of thing. So absolutely delighted with that.
Oh, that's amazing. Sounds like everything's going right for you guys at the moment, which is good. It's always good to have a positive, everything's looking positive and you're, getting your beer into the UK mainland and everything's going in the right direction. It's such a positive thing to hear breweries talk about rather than, we're basically fighting to survive at the moment kind of thing.
It's been a tough time, I think. It's just upsetting to see, what's kind of happening for a lot of people in the UK.
Yeah.
We're not immune to it. We have costs are increasing. Sometimes I worry that we've got no money even we certainly don't pay ourselves yet. Like I still work as a primary school teacher for part of the week. We suffer from, I guess, all the same external influences, but we're just doggedly determined to make this work. Also because it's our own money that we've invested, and it would just be so heartbreaking to let everything just come on top of us to the point where we couldn't do it anymore. We've got to find a way through. It's just there's no option. At the minute, other than just to keep pressing on.
Keep pressing on. That's it. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And determination will see you through, I'm sure of it. And obviously your great beers that you do will definitely help because people will be buying it. So, yeah. Obviously you said you've started it up with your own money. What would you tell someone who's, in the administration process like you guys were? What would you tell someone thinking of opening their brewery today? What would be the first bit of advice you'd give them?
We were talking about this with Vic and Mike the other day. I think I would have had the confidence to have gone to a bank. This is knowing what I know now. I would have had the confidence to have gone to a bank and said, I need a loan to cover my startup costs, because we just did not appreciate how expensive it was going to be. We thought we had enough money to get everything we needed, but we had a secondhand kit that needed a load of things replacing. We needed loads of things done to the taproom to make it, safe, and we needed to put fire exits in and things like that. Like we just had no idea of the money that we'd need up front before the turnover started to come in from the taproom and from the beer sales. So I would never. What I found really unhelpful and what we really hated. Was people just saying, just don't do it. Like, why are you doing this? Like, just don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't
That's not what you want to hear.
And also, you're going to do it anyway. Like, you're going to
it's your passion.
You're going to do it.
Exactly.
So, I'd say definitely do it, because there are so many amazing things about running a brewery and taproom, and the lifestyle in theory is fantastic. I mean, the fact that I don't have to sit behind a desk and input numbers into a computer, that is just, it's worth it. It's worth the pain. And the amazing people that we've met, the friends that we've made, the opportunities that we've had. I mean, we're just doing all these amazing things. Day to day, it's very hard. But in terms of the lifestyle that you'd want to create by, I guess, having your own business, especially a hospitality business, which is, very sociable. I think it's worth it. And at the end of the day, if we don't make it to year 3, but we've done everything we can, that's a success. Like, I'll never see the work that me and Nick have put in as anything other than a success. It's definitely not a failure, because
of course
we've done everything we should have done. Yeah,
you're
for
here.
Sure. And
you're trading.
It might carry on for a few years. It might carry on for a decade or 2. It might all end tomorrow. But I'd never regretted it for a second. And I'm sure that we'll have other opportunities in future if something happened. There's always going to be more people setting breweries up. I mean, we were talking about this the other day. People's businesses sadly close, but there are also innovations within the industry. Things are happening. There's lots of no and low being brewed, which is awesome. It's good to have a voice as well. And I just think there are so many amazing creative people within this industry that it's it's worth it. It's worth doing this and starting this journey if that's what you want to do. We're looking forward to going to BeerX and just meeting all these new people who are probably like we were a couple of years ago, a lot less grey and a lot less sort of dead-eyed looking than we are now, who are just starting their journey. And I'd be very encouraging of anyone who wanted to do this, but just make sure you've got enough money. If we could go back in time, we'd probably have kept our full-time jobs for a bit longer. But because of the way we set the tap room up, we couldn't. It was just too much work. We needed to be there staffing it every weekend. I'm not that young anymore, and Nick's 2 years older than me. So yeah.
So we're going to end on this final question, and this is a kind of like a scenario kind of thing. If someone was to walk into a pub in 5 years and sees a Kerroo beer on the bar, what do you hope that they already feel or know about the beer at the brewery before they even take their first sip?
I would like people to know that we're from the Isle of Man, because I think that's it's not critical, but it's very central to who we are. We're very proud to be from the Isle of Man. We use a lot of Manx artists to create our pump clips and our can designs. Very important for us to pay people money to create to basically be part of our brand. Yeah. It leans into the whole being part of a greater community project, I guess. We love that. So I'd like people to be able to see that and go, oh, that looks nice. Because I think at the end of the day, the first impression they get is of what it looks like on the bar. So it's got to look really, really bright and colourful. I hope people, maybe if they hadn't heard of us, I hope people would maybe recognise something. We use a lot of like foraged things. Like we use some foraged seaweed in a beer that went down really well last year. We're going to recreate that again. I think once people get over the fact that it's not fishy, I think they're quite on board with that. So I like to think that people would just give it a go, and hopefully that the collaborations that we're doing, we love doing collabs. So if anybody's listening to this and is like, oh, I'd love to come over to the Isle of Man and do a collab brew, or get us over to somewhere in the UK or further afield, that'd be great. More than happy to do that. Like we're just so up for any kind of like partnerships with people. Hopefully people will just give the beer a go and taste something that, taste the hard work that we've put into it.
Yeah, I think collaborations are good, especially for new breweries like yourselves to learn about how other breweries develop their recipes, learning new equipment as well, because obviously everyone uses different equipment, different practices. And I think it's amazing how good the scene is at coming together, and, no one's against each other. No one's trying to outsell each other. Everyone's in it to help you succeed as a brewery, because we want as many UK independent breweries as possible to showcase that we have some great brewers and some great breweries. So that's amazing. Yeah, if anyone is listening, anyone in particular in mind, any breweries in mind that you'd love to go and collaborate with?
Yeah, I'd love to do something. I'd love to do something with maybe like fine ales, or something, maybe the Origins project, like Dan's Origins project sounds amazing. Really big fan of all these kind of like wild ales and things that I guess link to the local area. Like we're quite big on that, and with our pilot series that we're going to start developing this year, we're going to use as much of the resources available to us from the local area. So we have lots of wild. We've got the things that are in the sea, like the seaweed and the samphire and things, but lots of wild, like blueberries, lots of fruits and stuff, hedgerow stuff that you can use in smaller batches.
Yeah.
And it would it'd be great to, for sure. Like it would be great to learn from a brewery who does that regularly, because it's a little bit of a departure from, the standard, like we do like lagers, pale ales, IPAs, stouts, porters, that kind of thing. Just doing like a collaboration with a brewery who do something a bit different, that would just be so interesting. And even if we never ever did our own version of it, that would be a really great opportunity, I think.
Yeah, amazing. On that note, it's been absolutely amazing to talk to you. It's a shame Nick couldn't join us as well. He's busy brewing.
He's brewing today, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I didn't want to
that's more important than appearing on a podcast, that's for sure.
We need that beer. We need that beer made.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't make the beer today because we're appearing on the podcast. It doesn't. Yeah, but it's been amazing talking to you, and I'll obviously see you at BeerX, and we can catch up again,
sure.
and obviously get to speak to Nick as well. It'd be lovely and see how you guys are going on. And until then, a couple of weeks' time, we'll see you again. Thanks again, Elizabeth, for joining the show. Catch you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.